everybody, and Tony here, and I am joined with this really wonderful Contralto,
Hello.
Madame Bonita Hyman.
Hyman.
Yeah, excuse me, Bonita Hyman. So say hello to our lovely guests.
Hi there.
So, as you can see, I first knew Bonita Hyman singing the role of the first maid from Richard Strauss's Elektra in one production at the Metropolitan Opera House and then another one at the Staatsopernschulle Theater. So, Bonita, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, how did you get into singing? How did you first get into singing?
Oh, gosh. I come from a family where there's a lot of music. My mother was a church musician. She's largely self-taught. I didn't know my grandmother. She passed before I was born, but apparently she also sang. Many of my aunts and uncles all sang. And I was basically singing before I could talk. When I was very small, I would imitate the commercials that I saw on TV.
Right.
And I started singing in the children's choir with the age of 6.
Okay.
And sang my first solo in public at age 6.
Right. And what was your debut role? As in, what was the very first operatic role that you sang?
As a professional or as a student?
Yes.
As a professional, I sang Martha and Faust with Opera Ebony in New York City. That was in a cast with Ben Matthews as the Mephistopheles.
Right.
Tom Young was Faust. Thomas Young.
But as a student, what was your very first role?
My absolute very first role was as a 16-year-old singing Kadisha in the Mikado.
Wow.
Oh no, actually I was 17.
Oh, okay.
Oh, big difference, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But my first opera role was as Mrs. Noah in Noah's Flood by Benjamin Britten as a student at Oberlin.
Right. So, how did it feel like to perform your very first role at the time? What was the feeling like?
Well, I had done quite a lot of music theater in junior high school, all through high school. Making the jump from there to opera was not such a big jump. It kind of felt in the same general direction.
Right.
As a college freshman, I was singing in the opera chorus from the very beginning. I did my first opera chorus part in Die Fledermaus at Oberlin
Right.
at age 18.
Okay.
So it just was a continuation of everything I had done up until that point.
Right. And you sang in a lot of German opera houses and
Yes.
European opera houses in general. How did you feel about them, or how do you feel about these opera houses in general?
Each one is a little different. When I'm at a theater that I've never been before, it's a bit of an adventure. You kind of get to know the feel of the house, the familiar faces. It's constantly a learning process, but in a nice way. You know, most of my experiences have really been quite pleasant,
Right.
and the German system is kind of specialized unto itself. It's different from pretty much every other system of opera companies in the world. It's very organized, in
Right.
terms of the Fox system, who sings what, and all this kind of thing. And, how the business is handled and all this kind of stuff. Um, in other countries, it's kind of a bit more relaxed in some ways. Um, I really enjoy working in France, for instance. The whole approach to everything is so much more kind of relaxed and fluid, fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just the culture also, and I just love being in France.
Right.
Um, in the Netherlands, it's more like the German system, very similar in terms of how it's structured and how things are run. Um, in Switzerland, it depends on what part of Switzerland you're in.
Okay.
I've sung quite a few times in Geneva,
Mm-hmm.
and they are more like the French
Right.
in terms of their approach. That could also be because I was working there under French management, so
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of dig being over there.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Absolutely. So, and in terms of Regie Theater, what do you
Mhm.
think of it? Regie Theater.
It depends.
Right.
Sometimes it's really interesting and innovative, and sometimes it's like, seriously?
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
you know, when it's well done, it can be very exciting.
Hmm.
When it's with a really skilled director and someone with some insight and some humanity and a real point of view that makes sense. It can be a disaster in the hands of someone who is working out their own personal problems through the cast.
Oh my word.
I've been in both.
Oh, ouch.
yeah, and it's like, okay, therapy is a lot more effective. Hey, I'm so sorry your mama didn't love you. Okay,
Oh my.
but you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
It's like, let's take the check and run.
Yeah.
you know, but in the hands of someone with a real creative mind and a very specific point of view, and that that someone has not lost sight of humanity.
Okay.
It can be some really great stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I've been pretty fortunate because I've worked with some people who are very much in this direction,
Hmm.
and it's always been, most of the time, it has been something that has been really a learning experience.
Hmm.
You know, the production of the Electra that I did was with Patrice Chéreau, who was one of the main exemplars of the French approach to Regie Theater.
Hmm.
And it was the last production he did before he passed. And he was a very thorough fastidious stage director. You know, every detail mattered. He expected a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
and but he also expected a lot out of himself.
Right.
There were times when he was very sick,
Okay.
and he would throw himself into his work. He just, no matter how sick he was there,
Right.
you know. And that kind of commitment is something you don't come across so often.
Okay.
You know, it was a real privilege to have worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've also done work with Robert Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
My first time in Geneva was with Robert Wilson.
Okay.
And his way is a very different way. It's a very abstract, um, diffuse kind of approach. He has this system of gestures that he has, and people don't always understand them. Um, his specialization was in the lighting design and doing interesting things with lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought like a painter,
Okay.
you know. Cheryl thought like an actor,
Right.
and Wilson thought like a painter,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I can appreciate both of those points of view.
Okay.
You
Right.
know.
So, aside from Cheryl and Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
are there any other directors you enjoy working with? Or is there any director that really stands out to you so far, no matter what the
Oh,
production?
well, you know, you kind of get spoiled with Shiro.
Right.
You know, he kind of was the standard setter. You
Right.
know, um, there was no one quite like him.
Absolutely.
Um, ah, in the United States. Oh, what? I'm slipping on his name right now. Was the artistic director of the Goodman Theater for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's one of the few stage directors to win an Emmy, a Tony, and an Oscar. I did two productions with him. His name will come back to me as soon as the interview is But I did a production of Four Saints in Three Acts with him with Chicago Opera Theater as Saint Teresa too.
Okay.
And a few months later did a production of Cry the Beloved Country at the Goodman Theater. Um, I can't believe I'm looking right at his face. He's very famous, but he's the best American director I've worked with.
Okay.
Um, both of those productions were fantastic.
Okay.
The Cry the Beloved Country was a reworking of the Kurt Weill, Maxwell Anderson, pardon me,
Mm-hmm.
production of Lost in the Stars.
Right.
And Lost in the Stars was originally based on the Alan Paton novel, Cry the Beloved Country.
Mm-hmm.
The musical was written in 1951
Mm-hmm.
when the United States was still officially segregated.
Mm-hmm.
But the piece was an anti-apartheid
Okay.
piece. There were certain things that could not be addressed to an American audience
Mm-hmm.
because of the situation with segregation in in the States. And so it kind of tiptoed around a lot of the issues that Alan Payton addressed directly. Frank. His name is Frank. It'll come to me. But he rewrote the libretto for the musical to better reflect Alan Payton's original novel. And to present more balance in terms of the truth of the situation. You know, how apartheid did damage to both the black and the white. And how both cultures suffered because of this separation. And incorporated quite a bit of Zulu dance forms and stuff. I was dancing in the production. And yeah, that was a very exciting experience. That was also my first time doing a theater run like a Broadway musical,
Right.
where you do eight shows a week.
Right.
Never done that before. It's a whole nother world from opera. My goodness. You're a theater person yourself, so I'm sure you understand how that run works.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so it's like for opera people, that's like totally foreign.
Right.
You know, doing two performances on a Wednesday, and then doing another two performances on a weekend, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, depending. But wow, I learned something from that in terms of pacing.
Right.
You know, it's a bit like sport, like a certain kind of training you get into to maintain the same level of intensity over, a 48 performance run. You know, we did 6 weeks of that. 6 weeks, 8 shows a week.
Right. And do you have any advice for young singers who want to have a career in the opera world?
Woo! Gosh. I was having a conversation about this just today. It's a tough business right now. I think probably the best advice is don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I won't sugarcoat it. It's very difficult right now. There are a lot of singers. There are too many, basically. There are certain political forces at work in the business. The economy is an issue. Funding is an issue. Aging audiences are an issue. It's tough. It's tough. You know, one of the problems with Reggie Theater in certain hands is that there has become a preoccupation with how people look rather than how they perform. There are quite a few artists who are beautiful to look at and are, lovely singers. But especially for the heavier repertoire, the big things, the Wagner and all that kind of stuff, you know, those big voices tend to come in some robust bodies,
Definitely.
you know, and you're not gonna get Hollywood and get that really great Wagner voice.
Yeah,
That's impossible. No, it's not just
exactly.
rare. It's just not gonna happen.
Exactly.
You know. And now, one of the things I admired about Shoto in this production that we did was that he went against that, and he had people of different ages,
Yeah.
different body types, different races. It was a very accurate portrayal of the, the, the scope of humanity
Right.
on stage. In the
Right.
real world, we're looking all around us. We see children, we see old people, we see people of various different ethnic backgrounds, all of them with their own stories. That's how life is, you know. To have a cast full of um, 28 to 35-year-olds, tall, thin, and blonde, is a pretty picture for some people. But the world is much more complex than that.
Okay. Right. And do you happen to have any like new roles coming up in your repertoire or
Um, New, no, but in Hanover this fall, I'll be singing the role of Begonia
okay,
in a Henze opera, The Junge Lord.
right?
It's a role I've sung before. The last time I sang the role, my son was 18 months old, and he is now 18 years old.
Okay.
So it's been a while, you know. But I am working on Clytemnestra.
Right.
I'm in the process of coaching it and preparing it, and it's a very good fit. And yeah, I'm looking forward to convincing some theater to hire me for this part. I think that this will be the next logical step for me.
Right. And any last words for our audience tonight?
Um, Enjoy the nice weather.
Right. So that's it tonight for my interview with the wonderful Bonita Hyman. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me.
You're very welcome.
I'm very, very pleased to really see you once again after quite some time. And for those of you who are in Hanover, please check her out, singing the role of Begonia from De Jonge Lord. You will definitely have a blast. She is, without a doubt, one of the finest contraltos I have ever heard. And until then, see you later. Have a great evening.
Bye.